Parents, what if I told you that one of the most damaging forces in your home is your tone of voice? Not just the yelling or the threats, but the quieter moments, those sighs, the sarcastic remarks, the eye rolls that carry a message louder than words. And what if I told you that that same tone that you use when your child spills something or talks back, it kind of is similar, and it might just be the same tone that's actually causing a lot of division in our country, our communities, and even our marriages and closest relationships. Now, if this hits hard, it's supposed to, but take a breath with me, because there is no judgment here. I promise you, just some honest truth mixed with humble pie. I know what I'm saying is true because I've lived it. I've been in seasons where I had no awareness around the destructive tones that I was using. The sighs, the sarcasm, the side eyes. And I wondered why the people around me, whether that was my kids or my husband, didn't really want to cooperate or connect. But now I know better, so I do better. And that's what I want for you too. By the way, before you go on, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Just hit that subscribe button down below if you are interested in learning firm and kind connection-based powerful parenting tools. Our weekly Learn and Grow videos, as well as our podcast, The Fresh Start Family Show, will help you go from stressed and frazzled to peaceful and empowered in no time. Because if you want to raise kids who lead with empathy, who think critically, and who stand for truth without tearing others down, it starts with what happens in our home. Here at Fresh Start Family, we talk a lot about tone. We teach about the irritated tone, the rush tone, the guilty tone, the frustrated tone, and how each one can shape the atmosphere in our homes. We do a lot of teaching around tones. But today we're honing in on one of the most destructive tones at all, and that is the tone of disgust. Like Mother Teresa said, if you want peace in the world, go home and love your family. And the truth is, one of the greatest ways that you can love your family is to look at the ineffective tones that you're using to try to pressure your kids to change, and instead transform them into tones of empowerment and connection. Ones where everyone is left feeling fulfilled, respected, and motivated into positive change. So let's talk about something that can sometimes be subtle and other times not subtle at all, but it's a true power move to honestly look at where we use this tone of disgust and also engage in name calling in both our parenting and, if we're being honest, in our presence as American citizens right now. I know we have lots of international families too, but there's a lot going on in America, so we'll touch on that today. So let me ask you this. Have you ever said something to your child like, "What is wrong with you?" Or, "Oh, you're being ridiculous," or "Why can't you just listen?" Or "Why do you have to be so difficult? If you weren't so defiant, my life would be easier." Maybe it slips out as an eye roll, a sigh, that sarcastic, "Oh great, here we go again." That's kind of the tone of disgust, and it matters because that tone doesn't just affect our kids. It affects our nervous system. It trains our leadership voice, so to speak, because as parents, we are leaders, we are teachers, we're always influencing and leading in some capacity. But it becomes the lens we bring into the world, how we advocate, how we disagree, how we show up when things feel hard. I remember when my daughter was little and I was deep in power struggles with her, and I hadn't really learned about this tone of disgust yet. But she was a strong-willed, feisty little one, just full of fire, still is to this day, thank God. But truthfully, I didn't know what to do back then. And I often saw her as someone I had to win against. And honestly, it almost felt like she was the enemy at times, just trying to make my life more difficult. And I started to call her bossy, saying things like, "You're not the boss, I am," or "You're being defiant and rude, and I won't raise an entitled child." Until one day, a good friend of mine gently said to me, "Wendy, that is not helping her grow or change." It hit me hard. I realized I was using the very tone and name-calling tactics that I did not want her to grow up repeating. And I knew something had to shift. Disgust and name-calling, it comes from a place of judgment that carries an energy of, "I'm better than thou." And in parenting, it can show up in statements like this. you're being a brat, or why are you being so lazy, or I won't let you be lazy, or you always ruin everything, or you're such a drama queen, or eye roll. Seriously, again, or you are impossible, right? And here's the kicker. When you say something like, I'm not raising a disrespectful child, but then you're yelling in their face or muttering under your breath, basically showing disrespect, or saying things like, ugh, he's such a jerk today. That is disgust, but it's also with hypocrisy. In American culture right now, it kind of can sound like this. I see this happening in social media and also like behind the backs when people are talking about people they disagree with. So what kind of idiot believes that? Or it might sound like, ugh, those people are disgusting human beings. Or those people who believe that are vile. I would never do that, the things they do. Or they're ruining this country. Sometimes it's not even words. It's the look, the scoff, the wave of the hand, the wow, just wow. Or sometimes just bitching at the TV during the evening news segment while your kids are watching. One parent recently in one of our coaching sessions shared how she didn't realize how often she gave that ugh sigh when her daughter often would like make a mess or spill something. And she thought she was being calm. But then thanks to her choice to entrench herself in learning and growing from a powerful parenting lens, she started to realize that her daughter heard judgment in her silence and her exasperated sighs. And all of that is an example of tone too. So the tone of disgust, it might feel justified when we're angry or we're scared, but it really does disconnect us from others. It stops influence in its tracks and it models shame instead of strength and connection. So as parents, we are our children's first model for how to treat others, and most of what children learn is caught, not taught. So if we want them to become compassionate leaders, we must embody that energy ourselves, especially when it's hard, especially when we're working with people who disagree with us. So what does it look like to speak with firmness without disgust? When we replace the tone of disgust with empowered honesty and clarity, when we speak from the truth of how we feel and clearly ask for what we need without guilt tripping, name calling, or judgment, something sacred happens. Our children and anybody around us really begin to feel safe, seen, and understood. Other people's defenses come down. Their hearts soften. And instead of our kids just obeying out of fear, they begin to cooperate out of trust because they feel respected, which stirs up their, what I call intrinsic motivation, the kind that lasts. They're not just doing the right thing because of extrinsic motivation or to avoid punishment or judgment. They're becoming the kind of person who does the right thing because it feels aligned and good with their moral compass. And so what happens when you eliminate the tone of disgust and start to use more powerful parenting tools, you'll see more moments of repair, more willingness to take responsibility, and more honest conversations that build emotional resilience and strong moral character. And in our communities, when we resist the urge to speak with disgust about our neighbors who see the world differently than us right now, and instead share with calm strength and grounded clarity, hearts stay open and relationships stay intact. We leave room for others to actually consider a new perspective, to feel respected enough to self-reflect instead of feeling attacked. And in many cases, especially when it comes to people unknowingly supporting harmful or unjust systems, a lot of times because of lack of education, our tone can be the difference between shutting down a conversation or planting a seed for real, lasting change. So here are some phrases you can try. At home, you can say something like, hey, I am not okay with you hitting your sister. Let's take a break and talk about how to handle that anger that you're feeling so deep down inside. Or something else you could say is, hey, I feel overwhelmed right now when I do all the cleanup in the house alone. I need help. I need you guys to chip in. Or you're upset and that's okay. I'm here to help you calm down. We can co-regulate together. Or this behavior is not okay and I still believe in your goodness. We're going to work this out. Out in the world, when you're talking to a father-in-law or a cousin or a neighbor who sees the world differently than you might say something like, hey, I strongly disagree with that perspective, and I'm committed to speaking to each other with dignity. Or I feel heartbroken about what's happening and I want to advocate for justice without tearing people apart. Or I believe in treating all people with respect, even when we see things differently. Or I can stand for truth without belittling others. One mom I was coaching recently said something to the effect of, Wendy, it just feels like we're supposed to just accept everything or say nothing. And I get it. I understand how that can feel like the mission sometimes, but that's not what we're saying. We are not here to stay silent. We are here to speak with integrity and set firm, kind boundaries and do it with respect, with holy conviction, not contempt. This is emotional leadership. This is how we break cycles and model a new way. And remember, it starts in the home. Disgust is sneaky. It gives us a hit of superiority. It lets us feel like we're doing something when really we're just passing on pain and criticism and judgment. Because many of us grew up in critical homes. We're not trying to do that again with the next generation. The truth? The most effective leaders, if you've heard me teach at all, you know I'm constantly referring to Jesus, Dr. King, Mandela. They're my favorite. But they didn't lead with disgust. They led with the power of love and clarity, with strength, with sacred clarity, I would add. And we can too. We can raise kids who now know how to hold boundaries and honor dignity at the very same exact time. We can show up for our values without dehumanizing the people across from us. But it starts with how we speak in the most ordinary moments, in the kitchen, in the car, on the couch after a long day. So I want to ask you today, where is the tone of disgust showing up in your life? Before we know about it, it shows up for all of us. It really does. The key is to finding the humility to admit it. Where might some name calling be sneaking into your parenting or your advocacy for a safer nation where all of our neighbors are safe? And are you willing to choose something different than the tone of disgust? Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Let's raise the standard. Let's raise the future. Let's speak with courage, compassion, and clarity at home and in the world. I'm cheering you on always. And if this message hit home, I want you to leave a comment, maybe share with a friend, or let me know below, what are you practicing when it comes to your tone this week? Are you willing to kind of sniff out where the tone of disgust might be showing up in your world? You are not alone. You are deeply loved. You are doing sacred work when you raise your children with firm kindness and compassion. Thank you for being here. And before you go, be sure to click below to grab our free Quick Start Learning Bundle all about how to replace punishment with compassionate discipline. This free bundle comes with an extensive learning and printable guide, as well as a 1-hour workshop with me, your powerful parenting coach. I will help you build grace-based logical consequences that work with kids of all ages. Just click below to grab that free Quick Start Learning Bundle, and I'll see you in the next video.